So, as we begin this interesting session, may I request Mr. Anand Singhania, Vice President, IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to present the welcome address. Over to you, Mr. Singhania.
Thank you, Selvi. A very good morning and a warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, it gives me great pleasure to deliver the welcome address at today's panel discussion on credit flow from the NBFCs to the MSME sector, organized by the IMC's NBFC Committee, IMC's Industry and Trade Committee, the Forum of Affiliated Associations FAR, jointly with the Finance Industry Development Council, FIDC. A very warm welcome to our moderator of our session, Mr. K.V. Srinivasan, co-chairman of the NBFC Committee, IMC and FIDC, and whole-time director and CEO of Profectus Capital Private Limited. And our speakers for today, Mr. Umesh Revankar, MD and CEO of Shriram Transport Finance, Mr. Raman Agarwal, Independent Director, Paisa Low Digital Limited, Mr. Sachindra Nath, Executive Chairman and MD of Ugro Capital Limited, Mr. Surosh Amira, MD, Tata Capital Financial Services, Mr. Nayan Patel, our own very past president of the IMC Chamber and Executive Director, Packham Controls Private Limited, Mr. Sachin Shah, co-chair of the Industry and Trade Committee and partner of Kusum Engineering Works, Mr. Brahmanand Hegde, Executive Vice Chairman and Director, Vistar Financial Services, and Mr. Kamlesh Gandhi, the founder, chairman, and MD of Mass Financial Services, and a very warm welcome to all the participants. The NBFCs, the non-banking financial companies, are the financial intermediaries that have caught the country's attention and an imperative part of the Indian financial system, catering to the diverse financial needs of millions of small firms as well as individuals. Incidentally, the oldest NBFC is probably Muthoot Finance, whose history can be traced back to 1888, almost 60 years before India got its independence. Certain sections of the society, primarily the economic weaker sections for whom banks are perhaps unaffordable and inaccessible, rely solely on NBFCs to meet their credit requirements. These companies are the primary financiers for these small and medium-sized businesses whose growth is critical for the progress of the Indian economy. Before delving deep into the multifarious roles that NBFCs play in the current scenario, it is important to understand the key objective behind working of these prestigious institutions. It's not profitability that drives them, but these institutions work with the sole aim of making financial services accessible to one and all. This unique objective set these firms apart from the banks and define them as prime engines of growth. The NBFCs have played an extremely crucial role in the core development of the country's infrastructure. By offering long-term funds and credits to the Indian trade and commerce industry, these institutions are enabling the funding and growth of large infrastructure projects across the country. Apart from this, small-sized businesses, startups, and MSMEs are slowly mushrooming in the country, are dependent on funds offered by the NBFCs. Furthermore, as these small businesses expand their presence and operations, their need for both skilled and unskilled labor goes up to facilitate their increased operations. Thus, indirectly, NBFCs lead to creation of more jobs at the macroeconomic level. With a size of almost $400 billion, the sector's potential cannot be ignored. Considering the paramount role it plays in promoting financial inclusion and putting the economy on the path of continuous advancement. The government's initiatives of Pradhan Mantri Yojana and National Rural Financial Plan has further augmented the industry's growth and prospects. Broadly, there are three types of NBFCs: those that are registered and regulated by RBI. The common ones like loan companies, investment companies, leasing companies. Two, those that are not registered, but RBI issues direction relating to deposits like mutual benefit finance companies and mutual benefit companies. And those that are exempted from both registration and regulation of RBI. Example, the insurance companies, stock exchanges, housing finance companies, etc. Of the first type, there are close to 10,000 NBFCs registered with RBI as per the recent statistics, of which the investment credit companies have the highest share of assets of almost 46.7%, followed by the infra finance companies, which have about 39%. And the core investment companies have 11% of the total assets, and the balance is spread across the rest. Needless to say, the NBFCs continue to play a quintessential role in the country's growth strategy. The funding received from these companies is the light at the end of the tunnel that many small businesses and individuals hold on in order to survive and grow. The MSME and the challenges are one of the main areas why NBFCs play a critical role. The MSME sector, as all of you know, is the backbone of the national economy. With around 63 million units throughout the expanse of the country, the MSMEs contribute about 6% of the manufacturing GDP, 25% of the GDP from services, as well as 34% of the India's manufacturing output. MSMEs are promoting sustainable and inclusive development, as well as generating large-scale employment, especially in the rural areas. The COVID situation of the past 2 years has greatly impacted the economy, and the sector was hoping to bounce back, albeit the resurgence of the third wave. Time will tell how soon this wave will subside. As I mentioned, the major challenges faced by the MSMEs are the lack of funds, delayed approvals, and limited access to technology. Inadequate financial assistance is a major challenge for the small and medium enterprise sector. Manufacturers struggle to clear current debts and seek better funding to expand their options. The Chamber is an apex body which represents the MSMEs, the traders, the entrepreneurs, retailers, etc. One of the major concerns that the Chamber has noticed for its members is the recent RBI circular dated 12th November 2021, titled Prudential Norms on Income Recognition, Asset Classification, and Provisioning Pertaining to Advances, wherein it is stated that borrowers' accounts shall be flagged as overdue, SMA, and NPA by the lending institutions as part of the day-end processes for the due date. This circular is applicable to all borrowers, irrespective of their size. Once the account is classified as NPA, it would not be allowed as a standard till the full dues is paid. We request the authorities to reconsider the implementation of this circular, at least for the small borrowers, with a loan ticket size less than Rs 5 crores, as this circular will negatively impact the small borrowers who have limited resources. Just put a minimum threshold, The current guidelines will seriously impact the limitation on the MSME sector. The new guidelines ask the lenders to recognize the account as an SMA or NPA on the due date if the delay exceeds 90 days. Earlier, the borrowers were allowed to clear the dues till the month end by paying the partial amount. As of now, the account would not be allowed to upgrade by part payments once the account is classified as NPA, and this will put a severe hardship on genuine MSME borrowers. Several of the borrowers have inconsistent cash flows, as is the nature of their business, and along with that, they don't have adequate capital, fund of support, as enjoyed by the largest lenders. Therefore, the delays may happen. The implementation of the new guidelines would put hardship on already struggling but the resilient MSME sector. The sector will face challenges such as difficulty in raising capital funds once the account is classified as NPA, they will have to rely on unorganized sector, the money lenders, to raise the debt at obnoxious cost, putting them in a debt trap. And this would lead to a disruption of business activity, which is already impacted by COVID and rising logistics costs. Hence, we request the authority not to implement the change in guidelines for small borrowers with a loan size of less than rupees 5 crores. I am confident that today's panel discussion will discuss the impact of the circular and share the insights on the credit flow from the NBFCs to the MSME sector, which will be very beneficial to all the delegates. In conclusion, I would like to thank Mr. Ramesh Iyer, Chairman of the NBFC Committee and Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Mahindra & Mahindra Financial Services, our own Mahesh Thakkar, Co-Chair NBFC Committee and Director General of FIDC, Mr. K.V. Srinivasan, Co-Chair NBFC Committee, Mr. Ramakrishnan, who is the Chairman and Industry of Trade Committee and also the Managing Partner of Transformia Advisors, and our own Suresh Kotakji. Uncle, thank you for your guidance, who is the Chairman of the Forum of Affiliated Association and Chairman of Kotak and Company, for organizing this interactive panel discussion. And lastly, before I end, a few words about the Chamber. Since its inception in 1907, the Chamber represents the voice of over 400,000 businesses and industry establishments across India from diverse sectors of industry, with its membership base of over 5,000 members and over 150 trade associations affiliated to it. The Chamber has evolved into an institution keeping pace with the time by adapting itself to contemporary trends, while at the same time continuing the path of its proud legacy of over a century in the service of nation building and simultaneously fulfilling its responsibility towards the welfare and well-being of society. With these few words, I welcome you to this insightful panel discussion, the topics of which will be very thought-provoking. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Singhania. I now request the chairman of the panel discussion on credit flow from NBFCs to MSME sector, Mr. K.V. Srinivasan, Co-Chairman, IMC NBFC Committee and FIDC, and whole-time director and CEO, Profectus Capital Private Limited, to initiate the session. Over to you, Mr. Srinivasan.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Mr. Singhania, and very good morning and welcome.
Sorry, Mahesh Thakkar here. Just Nayan Patel has been off because his Zoom is not logging in. So any question, either you put to Industry Committee or Suresh Kotakji is present. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. A very good morning and welcome to all the delegates to this discussion. As Mr. Singhania outlined in his opening remarks, the importance of the MSME sector to the India's economy cannot be overstated. I think it's so crucial to the very survival of India as a growing economy. And if we really are looking at a $5 trillion economy in the next few years' time, the role of the MSME sector is extremely crucial, not only to improve or increase our GDP, but also to provide much needed employment to the largest youth population in the world. Having said that, although the importance of the sector has been extremely well recognized, but over the past 70 odd years since our independence, the question that arises in everybody's mind is that has enough been done to support this MSME sector? The answers could range from an emphatic no to an emphatic yes, but somewhere probably the truth lies in between. And over a period of time, in addition to the banks, the NBFCs have played a significant role and an ever-increasing role at that in financing the MSME sector itself. Now, as a business model, the MSMEs themselves, the NBFCs themselves, have been very innovative at trying to figure out new ways of approaching the MSMEs in terms of extending credit to them. new ways of approaching them and assessing them, new ways of marketing, new ways of monitoring them, etc., etc. So the entire gamut of things which are a part of a lending business, the NBFCs have figured out new ways of approaching the MSME sector. And thereby, over a period of time, now they have come to occupy a certain amount of market share of almost 20% in the entire loan industry that India has. So almost equal to the private sector banks. So broadly speaking, 60% of India's loan market is controlled by the PSU banks. About 20-22% is controlled by the private sector banks, and the rest of it, almost 18 to 20%, is controlled by the NBFCs. And this share is growing. So questions arise as to, has the NBFCs themselves been able to do enough for the MSME sector? Or is there something the sector itself has in terms of unfulfilled demands, unfulfilled desires that they have of the NBFC sector? So let us, delve into some of these issues and also look at what are the opportunities and the constraints that the NBFC sector itself is facing. Is the regulatory environment, is the funding environment conducive enough, especially in the backdrop of the current pandemic situation and even in general? So I have in front of me a set of luminaries who absolutely no need for any introduction to themselves. But I think the idea is to to hear the views from both the sides, the NBFCs as well as the MSME sector, in terms of where has this journey of partnership between MSMEs and NBFCs gone and what is the way forward. Let me start by addressing the first question to the industry, the MSME industry itself. In the absence of Mr. Nayan Patel, could I request Mr. Shashin to respond to my first question, which is primarily that how has the pandemic affected the business? And what sort of lessons have you really learned as an entrepreneur? Today, when you are faced with the third wave, are you a little more better prepared than what you were in the first wave? And how has the experience been? Mr. Shashin, if I could request you to give your comments, please.
Sure. Good morning. Yes, the last 2.5, 3 years have been quite a challenging time for all of us, and especially the MSME sector. Typically, the MSME sector is run by an entrepreneur who is probably juggling between various activities, starting right from the marketing to sales to order booking to production to finances. So it's been quite a challenging time, keeping the lockdowns in mind, keeping the fluctuation in the demands, keeping various restrictions working, as well as various economic parameters like raw material prices fluctuation, the fluctuation in the exchange rates. So it's been a pretty challenging time for as an entrepreneur, as an MSME. The lessons which the MSME has learned in the last few years is that typically an MSME was an unorganized sector, wherein the entrepreneur himself was not very organized. Going ahead, a lot of lessons have been learned, wherein simple things like online meetings, Zoom meetings can be arranged. So the pandemic has taught us a lot of lessons in terms of how things can be managed the non-traditional way. So typically an MSME entrepreneur has been running the business the way he's been running all these years, but this has given him a chance to think out of the box, to think how things can be done differently, how issues can be addressed in a different way, and how we can address these challenges and at the same time start working in a more proactive way. So it's been a pretty challenging time. It also has been a good amount of time in terms of learning experience for the MSME entrepreneur, as well as the MSME sector typically has not been affected in terms of the demand, in terms of the working limitations. So there is enough scope for expansion. There's enough scope for working further ahead. So it's all we need to see how we can kind of balance it out and take things further.
Thank you. Let me now ask, a question from the other side of the table. Now, what does an NBFC look for when it gets out to finance and finance an MSME? So let me turn to Mr. Sachindranath of Yugo Capital and ask him this question: that what do you really look for when you finance an MSME? Why do you choose a particular entrepreneur over the other? And why do you say yes and why do you say no? This is one part of the question. The other one is that the very underwriting approach of an NBFC itself has undergone a significant change, especially because technology today is playing an ever-increasing role. So how much do you depend upon fintech as a science to help you to reach a conclusion? Is fintech the be all and end all? Is there something that you look at beyond fintech as well when you assess an MSME? And what are the pitfalls of going too much technical and too much into the science part of it and ignore the touch and feel, which was the traditional way in which we would approach lending? Mr. Sendranath.
Thank you, Mr. Srinivasan. Thanks, IMC, for inviting me on this panel. This is a combination of multiple questions. Let me try taking a stab at each one of them. First is that, as a dedicated MSME financing platform of India, what we look in when we, try giving a loan to MSME. I would say it's just two things: ability and intent. I think so. That's ability to repay and intent to repay, and that is what you try to find in a customer. Historically, the both ability and intent was a judgment call, and I'll combine this to what is the role of data analytics technology and fintech is playing. So when you lend to a SME customer, whether he will be payback in a defined time period and whether he has an intention to do that was a judgment call of a frontline credit officer meeting the customer, and depending upon how that conversation goes, decides that whether the customer is good or not good, and eventually rely on a type of a collateral which the customer is willing to pay and base his judgment on that. That is to a large extent now changing, and that's where the role of the technology would play a major role. We continue to say that when you walk in a Chroma store or any marketplace and you want to buy an AC and a fridge, you can do that by taking a leverage in 5 minutes to 10 minutes time, because your mobile number is linked to your bureau. Bureau gives a predictable default analysis basis that every lender is willing to pay you or give you a credit. When in a small SME, when he gets an order of 10 lakh rupees and he needs 6.5 or 7 lakh rupees of credit to buy raw material to service that order, it may take him anything between 15 days to 3 months time to get that financing. And we believe that is going to change in next 24 to 36 months, wherein the SME financing would become virtually an on-tap financing because of the propensity of the data which is emerging around the SME. And that's what you may call it fintech, you may call it power of data. But three things have changed for lenders as an entity. 5 years back, if you go to an SME and you ask him what is your revenue, the answer is please go and assess it informally, because I have nothing informal. You then look at his balance sheet and ask him why there is so much of expense loaded. He say, no, because I want to save tax, because my margin in business is not the 10% margin. It is 10% plus 30% what I save on the business, and that comes through a profile of my expenses. Eventually, the lender would not be able to figure out whether the customer have actual cash flow to pay back or not and resort to collateral. That is changing today because 60 to 70% of customer have GST as the turnover data, which gives us 400 plus data input, which not only judge the quality of the turnover, but also the counterparties and multiple, the profiling of revenue and its periodicity. The digitization of banking, allows us through a machine learning platform to assess the cash flow within minutes. And the population of bureau, which is now ever expanding, gives us a behavior analysis. And you combine the three, you have an ability to give on-tap financing to an MSME customer without looking at his historical cash flow. So that is what is the fintech world is changing. Now today, the fintech is an over-abused world because NBFCs are becoming fintechs, fintechs are becoming banks, and banks are becoming NBFCs. So I don't know what does that mean. For me, technology or data analytics enabled credit model for small businesses is future, and there is no denying on that. On the last piece of your question, is the fintech is the only way? My answer is no, because India is not a one country. It is a non-homogeneous by nature. It has vast geographies and varied type of customer. So not necessarily every customer need can be serviced only through technology and data analytics, because the bottom of the pyramid customer need may not be able to service just through data. And that's why physical infrastructure along with digital infrastructure is as much as a need of the hour. And you have to combine the two to make sure that the efficacy of service is far superior in the new world order. So only relying on data in next 3 years is not something which is possible purely if you put it from a conventional lender's point of view. But combining the two would definitely make a change. And last but not the least, I would say, it is also now upon the small businesses also to become, make themselves as digitally enabled. When the pandemic hit, we tried moving to video KYC. 50% of our customer failed in doing video KYC because their Aadhaar number was not linked to their mobile. Today, 35% of our customer, we are not being able to onboard because their Udyam is not getting registered because of the same, number not getting, So we don't expect an SME to become a Flipkart or an Amazon, but we definitely expect SMEs to be digitally enabled. Have no hesitation in providing your GST data, banking data, and provide it to the lender. It's not going to, to a doctor and saying, I'll not tell you my disease, but please treat me. It's not possible. So when you come to the doctor, please provide everything what you have so that we should be able to, give you the solution.
Very well said, Sachindranath. I think, your point is extremely valid that it's never a one track. It is not fintech or otherwise. It's a combination of as many tools as we can. But clearly, one point which I take away from what you mentioned is that the ability of the NBFCs to assess the MSMEs has gone up significantly in the past few years, and thereby hopefully providing more finance to the MSME sector. Now, having said that, let me take a view from the other side. Yes, definitely, as Mr. Sachindranath mentioned, that the ability of the MSMEs, of the NBFCs to assess and give funds to MSMEs has grown. But are the MSMEs really satisfied with it? Is there a scope further that we can actually explore? What is the unfulfilled demands and needs of the MSME sector itself? Now, let me go back to Mr. Sachin Shah to ask him a question that why do you think that NBFCs are still a relatively minor lender to the MSMEs compared to the banks? How can they increase their market share? Do you really think NBFCs understand MSME needs? And do they really understand it better than banks? What is your view on that?
Thank you, sir. Just to give you just a recent survey, which is done by the CII, the MSMEs have recently in the last 4 years have increased nearly 15 million jobs in the country. Now, despite this huge positive growth, which the small scale sector has achieved, when we look at the funding figures as to what is the organized funding figures, which is nearly 6.5 crores MSMEs are enjoying, that figure is a very paltry 8% of funding, which actually comes to the MSME from formal credit channels. Most of it is actually coming from non-formal credit channels like might be friends, families, and unsecured loans and so on and so forth. Now, out of this 8% of the formal credit funding, which the MSME is getting, the percentage of the NBFC further is just a mere 10 to 12% of the entire formal credit. So if I have to quote ICRA claims that the unmet credit demand from the small scale sector is nearly around 25 lakh crores. So it is a huge potential which the financial sector needs to probably address. Now, if you have to typically look at the models which an MSME segment funding can be divided into, it's basically 3 models. The first would be the informal model, which the lenders lend to a small business typically for a cash flow requirement. The second would be an asset financing, might be for a machinery loan or capital expansion. And the third would be probably a typically longer tenor loans. So what is the primary reason why the NBFCs are not accounting for a larger share in the MSME sector? If I have to talk from an MSME perspective, the MSME sector is not aware of what the NBFCs have to offer. So typically an MSME unit, for him, the only source of funding, which is an organized sector, is his bank, where he's been relying on, might be for an OD limit or for a bank loan for a car or for a machinery or for an expansion, or for might be a plain vanilla simple CC limit. So the MSME is not aware as to what options are available from an NBFC perspective. What are the benefits? what is there for offer or offer to them. So what we need to typically do is we need to have a trust building exercise between the NBFCs and the SMEs, wherein data is actually educated to the MSME sector as to what the NBFCs have to offer, and typically how the NBFCs can complement an MSME along with the bank. So it's not an alternative to a bank, but it is a complement to the bank when it comes to the funding requirements of the MSME sector. One more typical notion which an MSME sector would probably have is that an NBFC would probably come with a higher rate of interest. So we also need the NBFC sector to actually address this particular concept, because a typical MSME would probably be not very averse to looking at a higher rate of interest. And what we typically need to do is we need to discuss and explain to the MSME sector as to what is the ease of getting a funding through an NBFC sector. As Mr. Nath just claimed, that the new fintech options available, funding is just like a click away. But talking from an MSME sector perspective, very few MSME sectors are actually aware of these options that are available to them, and to how easily these fundings can be made available to them, and what are the risks and rewards involved along with it. So once this trust building exercise is carried out, once this information is percolated to the smaller sector, the MSME sector, I'm sure a lot of them would be more willing to kind of take the NBFCs on board.
Okay, your point clearly is that the awareness levels itself and the trust factor need to be significantly improved between the MSMEs and the NBFCs in case we need to have a larger share and larger role being played by the NBFCs. Now, Mr. Sarosh Amaria of Tata Capital, do you really agree with Mr. Shah? And what is your viewpoint from the NBFC side on what he mentioned? And if you do agree, how is the way forward as far as NBFCs are concerned to improve their own market share?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Srinivasan. While what is being said is right, that at this point of time, NBFCs are a minor lender to the MSME compared to banks at this point of time. But what needs to be understood is that today it is maybe 13-14% of the total credit flow. But 10 years back, it was only 5 to 6%. So the growth over a period of last 10 years has been moving in a steady format. While I completely appreciate that banks have a much larger share, but the flow of credit from NBFCs in the last decade has increased. Albeit in the last 2 years, it has been pretty steady or slightly gone down, but over a period of 10 years, it has more than doubled. The CRISIL data also shows that there has been steady penetration of this. We need to understand exactly what are the challenges which the NBFCs face and why this credit is not up to the mark of what the banks are giving. First is low or unsteady, income levels. Typically, from a risk assessment point of view, the NBFCs do not want to understand the risk better. So when you have lower unsteady income levels, inexperienced, or non-awareness of financial products, etc., in smaller towns, that creates a little bit of an issue for NBFCs to lend to start with. Then lack of documentation, such as your national identity cards, income proof, records are missing. So that creates a lot of issues for lending. A lot of NBFCs work on transaction lending, and when documentation is not perfect, especially lack of collaterals, being underreported, incomplete financials, these are the major impediments, challenges which MSME face at any point of time. Then, of course, we all aware that lack of adoption of digital payments or digital ways of collection is in among MSME, especially in non-urban areas. These are some of the challenges. Eventually, this is made to be a high-risk proposition for NBFCs, which already has limited resources of funds. Because they don't have access to CASA like banks, where thus the apprehension starts. That's the initial issue, that because of these challenges which the MSME faces on the risk angle, the banks, the NBFCs face on the risk angle, these areas, the credit flow is muted. Why NBFC's market share will grow in the future? I think I'm pretty optimistic on that. I feel the way in the last decade this has more than doubled. Recent adoption of technology is extremely important. While Mr. Sachindranath spoke about various GST, Udyam Aadhar, etc. I will go a little further with India Stack. What I'm trying to say is that there are various technological enablements which have come in, which is about the OCAN network, which is about the trades network. There are various MSME pillars which have been taken out by the government. I feel this will tremendously increase the flow to the market. Basically, the smartphone is enabled to do all the transactions, and the last mile financing is possible. So by tapping into existing customer pools of loan service providers and working in tandem with other components, with UPI, with account aggregators, etc., the flow of credit will definitely increase to the NBFC sector. It's a matter of time. There are various independent bodies which are working to see how this flow works on. And with the whole OCAN network, where the biggest example is about GeM Sahay for government discounting, the TREDS platform. We all see that going forward, credit will increase. The RBI is allowing, RBI should allow the TREDS to NBFCs at any point of time. So these are some of the areas why I feel bullish, while the market share for NBFCs will grow in the near future. Yes, we understand MSME better. We are more agile as an NBFC. We are more quicker. At times, we see that loans are sanctioned, within 2 to 3 days of time. These are all term loans or machinery loans, which get sanctioned much faster than what banks would traditionally take 3 weeks to 4 weeks to sanction. The NBFCs are moving in that direction to get their credit engines correct, to see that we remain agile, and hence we are optimistic that the progressive policies, robust processes, improved TAB, and global service, the services will definitely increase the outreach for NBFCs.
Sure.
Albeit, the rate of interest will always be slightly different. The NBFCs will be slightly higher than banks, but that will be compensated, I think, for the speed and the accuracy by which we can give loans faster.
Okay. Yeah, very important points. Now, the question still remains, therefore, is whether the communication channels need to be still strengthened, because all of this is logical, what we're saying. That question which Mr. Shah raised earlier, that the channels of communication need to become stronger and stronger. And also, in this whole question of communicating the utility of an NBFC to the MSME sector, the communication, or rather the definition of the USP of an NBFC in this entire market is very critical. Why should an MSME go to an NBFC instead of a bank is a very critical question. Now, Mr. Raman Agarwal has been a pioneer in this, the NBFC sector for quite a long time. And I would like to ask him that, if you were an MSME, why would you approach an NBFC and not a bank, or maybe a bank plus NBFC? Why would you go for a costlier option, as was mentioned earlier, instead of a cheaper option? And what's the great thing that an NBFC can bring to the table?
Thank you, KV, and out the set. Thank you, IMC, for giving me this opportunity. I think a valid question. In my last 30 years, I think, although working with the NBFC sector, when I entered the sector, this question was asked, why NBFCs? And this question is very much relevant even today, why NBFCs? In spite of the fact that we've grown from scratch to a balance sheet size of 40 lakh crores odd as per RBI's data. So to answer straight, let me say that, as I call him, one of my gurus, Mr. TTS often says that, it is the NBFCs who wrote the book on financial inclusion. When you talk of inclusion, meaning the mantra of NBFC model has been funding the unfunded, funding the unbanked or the underbanked. let's put a very logical question. Had NBFCs been also funding to the borrowers whom banks are funding exactly same, we could not have grown to a balance sheet of 40 lakh crores today. It is the fact that we have catered to the unbanked and underbanked. So today, many of the borrowers who are banked today, if you ask them, probably the first credit call on them would have been taken by an NBFC. Because it is the NBFC who understands, and you know, it is often said, why NBFCs, as you also asked, you know, the crux of the thing is that a relationship between an NBFC and its borrower is far beyond a lender-borrower relationship. It is much more than that. You know, technology is a very recent phenomena. And as I think the chairman very rightly in his opening remark mentioned, we have NBFCs who've been in business for more than 100 years now. And there have been NBFCs who've been in at least, you know, even the likes of Sundarams and Shrirams for 70, 80 years now. Technology is what, a 15, 20-year game. So NBFCs were lending even before technology came in. And how were they able to successfully lend? Because of that hand-holding. The idea here is not to simply lend money. The idea here is to have, sorry, I'm not being sound political, have a chai pe charcha with your borrower. Sit with him, understand his problem, and suggest him a tailor-made product. Now, to all my MSME friends sitting here, let me put a question here. When you are seeking a loan or a credit, what exactly are you looking at? To my mind, there are four pillars here. Foremost, you want to raise loan from an institution which is easily accessible. Number two, it should be reliable. Yeah. Number three, it should be flexible. And of course, it should be affordable. So these are the four key pillars. Now, when it comes to reliability and affordability, without a doubt, without a question mark, banks are most reliable, banks are most affordable. But it's the other two, the accessibility and the flexibility, where NBFCs have really overscored even banks. Because the NBFC, when I say accessibility, today, even the chairman also mentioned, more than 9,000 NBFCs are operating across the length and breadth of the country. So you have and let me also point out here that out of that 90,000, more than 90% of NBFCs themselves are small. So it's, you know, if I may not be wrong in saying that NBFCs are also the MSMEs of the lending fraternity. So a small lending to small works a perfect combination in our kind of culture and scenario. Because we will agree, many small-time borrowers are hesitant to enter a high-rise building, are hesitant to go into a very large institution, because there is somewhere underlying fear. Will I be heard? Will my pains be really heard? Or will it be a simple tick the checkbox, you know, ticking the boxes kind of a scenario? When you come to an NBFC, ticking the boxes is merely done from a regulatory perspective. But from my business perspective, as I said, I would like to sit with you and understand your model and suggest you a loan product accordingly. So it is that flexibility and that accessibility and your understanding which scores points. Now, obviously, this recognition has, although was there, but it has really caught the eye of the policymakers for the last few years. And I think as an optimist, I always say, you know, NBFCs, we've seen crisis like any other sector. We've seen failures like any other sector. But every time there has been an episode, every time the regulations have been tightened per se, NBFCs have come out stronger. And I'm sure the pandemic, God forbids, we should be, and I'm hopefully at the fag end of the pandemic now, maybe we will come out very stronger. And the recognition, therefore, has come from all the bodies. Fortunately, I have been associated with World Bank for the last 2 years now. 2 years back, World Bank sanctioned a loan of $750 million to Indian government for the development of MSMEs. And the 3 pillars they identified for development of MSMEs, one of the 3 pillars is financing by NBFCs. So it is the World Bank which recognizes this role. It is the IMF which has recognized this role. When they even forecast the GDP predictions for Indian economy, you will often find NBFCs being mentioned. This was something which was totally missing about even 5 years back. So the recognition, if you see all the measures, the Atmanirbhar package announced by the government of India, the stimulus package announced prior to the pandemic, NBFCs were the key pillars, especially whenever MSMEs were talked. So today, MSMEs and NBFCs, in fact, are going hand in hand because the policymakers and the regulators agree and realize that we are the best suited. And why do they think? Is because, again, that flexibility and that understanding, that charcha we have with him is the key. So finally, let me also put in another angle. Technology, as you know, Sarosh mentioned, as Sachindra mentioned, and even Chairman mentioned in his opening remark, and KV also talked about, while fintechs is a very generic term, but adapting technology to enhance our lending capabilities is, I think, what NBFCs have done perfectly. We have adopted technology to become an enabler, and that is what the technology is best used, put to. Finally, in my closing remarks, I would also like to draw attention and inform my MSME friends that, often one of the major challenges you find is capital investment, capital expenditure, because any new entity, even the startups, so the new age startups, or even today, capital expenditure is an issue. So that is where the NBFC's age-old bread and butter product of hire purchase or lease is the answer. Because that is where it really facilitates in building assets, making capital expenditure without actually going in for that kind of convert your capital investment into a kind of a regular revenue model. So that is which is again something which is being offered by NBFCs. That's a different story. There are certain concerns relating to taxation and policy, but all said and done, even products like lease and hire purchase are being offered by NBFCs. So all in all, I can say that for my MSME friends, it's not actually you who should come to NBFCs. In fact, NBFC's mantra of growth lies in funding you people. So if we have to survive and grow, you people have to survive and grow. It's vice versa. So we are both made for each other, actually, if you ask me. Thank you.
Made for each other. That's the kind of USP. So obviously, you are emphasizing quite a lot on the relationship-based model and the empathy factor that kind of seems to be building between the NBFCs and the MSMEs as such, right? Okay, important points. Now, let me ask Mr. Brahmanand Hegde, who's been addressing the requirements and the needs of the very micro kind of enterprises in this organization. Now, both Mr. Amaria as well as Mr. Raman Agarwal talked about the ever-expanding scope, etc., for NBFCs to fund MSMEs. Now, over the past 5-6 years specifically, with GST and DeMon and so many other things, and the digitalization of the Indian economy itself is concerned, things have become a lot more formal than they were earlier, right? So the earlier touch and feel thing clearly is now today giving way at least partially to the technology part, etc. Now, how do you see that development coming across from an MSME perspective, from your clientele perspective? Are they really adapting to this? Are they struggling? Are they still worrying about the taxmen coming and taking their revenue away? Is there a change at all? How do you see the whole thing developing?
Thank you, Mr. Srinivasan. Thank you, IMC, for giving us an opportunity. Before I start, I'll just set the context, because micro, small, and medium, because all three are MSMEs, right? Because when you talk about MSME, each one may speak about whether the micro or a small or medium, depending upon what kind of customer segments they focus on. To be specific to Vistar, we are basically a micro SME kind of a player, in the sense that we operate in semi-urban, rural predominantly. our typical funding has been for a micro enterprises where funding requirement is less than 25, 30 lakhs. Okay. To the extent that, just to give you, I think the data points, the 3-4 data points, I would like to give it to you so that it gives you a journey of where we moved from 2010 to 2021 now, 22, let's say. We were one of the first players to start MSME funding in this space in a dedicated and focused manner. There were NBFCs or banks doing it, but they were doing many things, but one of them was MSME. Whereas in our case, we only do MSME or micro businesses. In 2010, when we started off, if I look at the profile, customer profile, 85% of the customers whom I used to serve had no bureau record. Only 15% had bureau record. Okay, I'm just giving you that context. For a period of last 10, 11 years, it has now changed where almost 80% plus of them have bureau record. When I say bureau record, it could be for a two-wheeler loan or a gold loan also in some cases. About 45 to 50% of them do have business loans. Okay, balance continue to don't have any bureau record. This is in terms of how formalization is gradually shifting from what they were 10 years back to is one part. Two other points of information, I think it is very relevant here. In 2016, when the demo came, we were operating in semi-urban rural, and we kept doing our own customer survey to see what do the customers do in terms of their own cash flows. If cash was taken out, were they able to operate well or they are struggling? I think you will be surprised to know the customers who are in semi-urban, more rural, I would say, places like Maharashtra, some parts of Karnataka or in Gujarat, where a lot of people do have a cooperative bank or a cooperative society's access. They were able to shift from pure cash to some amount of, let's say, bank fund, a bank cash flow based fund kind of an approach. Just to give you a few examples, let's say we used to run even dairies. In these states, of course, dairy farmers were able to shift to banks quickly, and their cash flow started within 2 months of demo coming in. But in other places where customers predominantly depend upon cash being the means of turnaround, they struggle. In fact, they struggle for 6 to 8 months. And in the process, the business struggled, their overall ability to pay got impacted. You know, the overall in the industry, especially the lower end of the customer segment, had a lot of defaults at a point of time. Okay. Now coming to demo in the last 2 years, of course, in terms of the digital side, we all know that how the wallets, especially the phone pays of the world, Google Pays of the world, or Paytms of the world have penetrated into this segment. I think that is another great story in terms of proportion of customers getting penetrated to this segment. In fact, today, if I see roughly 60-65% of the customers do have part of their cash flow going through the digital route with one of these things. Would it be still sufficient for you to assess a loan, give a loan? May not be. But having said that, it is different for different markets. If I see a place like Bangalore where we operate, city, here there are even a small street vendors. They don't accept cash. They said Google Pay or a Phone Pay or a Paytm, we don't accept cash. Even a Pani Puri vendor goes with that kind of approach because he feels that not having a cash is more convenient for him. He can operate his business as it is run, and the scanner is kept on the side. But at the moment I go to tier 2 and tier 3 cities, things are not changed so fast. But what it was earlier to today, definitely about 25 to 30% of the customer segments whom we deal with have a significant proportion of their money going through the digital route. But having said that, on the banking side, which is the other one, which is, because of the Jan Dhan and related things, from about 8 years back, we had to push our customer to make them open a bank account. About 60-65% of them didn't have a bank account properly. To today, we don't have to tell any customer to open a bank account, which means that practically every customer who is approaching us for a loan has a bank account. So it is shifting gradually. Would it be sufficient for lending purpose to assess the customer's cash flow, ability to pay using only digital means? May not be adequate. But definitely in urban locations like Bangalore, larger cities, it will become faster. Maybe next 2 to 3 years, 4 years, we may be able to do more significant operations through digital route. But as we move into tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 and rural, it may take few more years to get. But adoption of technology is definitely becoming faster.
So that's a very important factor. So obviously there is a certain greater awareness among the MSMEs that they need to adopt technology and go to a less cash kind of an approach, make their own businesses more formal, so that the opportunities are also therefore linked to the kind of formalization of their own businesses. More formal, you get more funding as well, and therefore your growth story can be faster and better aided, right? So this is very, very good to hear from you, Hegde. I think, all the three speakers, including you, what you have highlighted is that the growth or the partnership opportunities between MSMEs and NBFCs are growing. Now, let's look at a completely tangential issue, which actually is not tangential, but it is really the thing which gives the NBFCs the ability to finance this particular opportunity, their own liabilities side, right? Now, we have one of the largest NBFCs being represented here by Mr. Umesh Revankar. Now, they have made a business out of doing a very, very niche kind of a business, which is financing the used trucks. I think that has been converted into an art and in a huge business. Now, I don't think anybody can really talk about the MSMEs with greater level of authority than Umesh himself. Now, Umesh, with your rich experience, now, do you really agree with what the previous speakers have said? And as an NBFC, not just Shriram Transport, but as a general NBFC, are we really gearing ourselves to finance this greater ever-increasing opportunity? And how is our ability or our financing itself, our own liability side, really shaping up? Is there a change in that? Is there a over-dependence on the banking system? Is there fund availability, which is really a problem as far as the NBFCs are concerned?
Yeah, thank you, KV. Good afternoon, everyone. I've been able to, trying to gather whatever the other panelists have been trying to convey. The fintech, the higher acceptance of the technology or digital, that is leading to a better reach to the customers. That has been the story for maybe last 4 or 5 years, and that is going to continue. The urban players will have a faster reach and approach, and the semi-urban people may take time. But when it comes to funding, I always feel that NBFC will play a complementary role to banks. It is not that NBFCs are trying to get a market share out of the bank's funding. It's not possible. Any customer wants to go to bank, and if he is bankable, he will definitely get bank funding. So NBFC has no role. NBFC cannot really match to the bank, and it's never been the case, because most of the NBFCs are to some extent dependent on bank to raise resources, and their funding cost will be higher. So definitely the customers will be charged higher than the bank. So there is absolutely no competition with the bank. But what's happening in the bank is very important. Over the period, banks are becoming larger, and they prefer to do a larger ticket and much higher, best possible credit to lend, because their appetite for taking risk is coming down. Because any business is a venture where there is a risk. And once the appetite for the risk comes down, naturally, banks will go away from certain segments. See, I was brought up from a place called Mangalore. It is a town which gave 5 nationalized banks. Then you can imagine the banking penetration in that place. And I opened a branch in Mangalore for Shriram and ran it for 5 years. And I know exactly where this banking system, which was very close to the customer in Mangalore, as they become larger and larger, it went away from the common man. When I say common, the typical MSME customers who are up to maybe a 50 lakh ticket size, they find it difficult because bank by nature, by definition, is the place where customer come for taking credit. And NBFCs have been playing a different game or different model of business. We go to the customer. We try to understand the need. We go to the customer. So there is a totally different approach. So more and more credit being available at the doorstep of the customer would prefer to deal with NBFC than going to the bank and wait. So that is earlier customer would go to bank weeks together or months together for a credit. But today things have changed. The fintech has made some changes and ability and agility of NBFCs have made changes. Now, whether NBFC can keep growing, whether NBFC can raise its liability game, whether NBFC can do it not with too much of dependency on the bank, I feel yes, we can, we should. That's how the NBFC should be. See, we as NBFC, we are a deposit taking NBFC, one of the few. And we have deposit franchise, which is very strong. And the goodwill, what we generated out of 40 years, yes, we are able to, that one particular part of the resources or sources of retail is with us. It may not be with all NBFCs. But the other thing, just yesterday, we raised a $475 million dollar bond through ECB route. So every year you can raise 750 million. Now, NBFCs should have that, as at least medium and larger, should find a different source of the resources and try to balance between these. It is always going to be expensive when you go for the first time. But if you are able to do that, and then your ability to raise resources and manage between various sources will become much comfortable and easier. And one more thing that's very important is any financial system will be multiple layered. It cannot be single layer because the microfinance requirement is different. The MSME requirement is different. Vehicle buying vehicle is demand requirement is different. The gold loan is different. All these are multi-layer. So if at all in vast country like India, if at all you have to reach to the population, various business, various segment, various asset classes, it has to be multi-layer. So with even a larger NBFC can fund smaller NBFCs. Banks can fund medium-sized NBFC or even smaller NBFCs. See, this complementarity and multi-layered will continue to remain. You can't take it away. Even in US, latest data is around 20% of the US population is either underbanked or unbanked, wherein for 1/5 the population, they have 8,000 banks. And that means there will be always a gap where there is a data gap or where there is asymmetry in the data. There will be other players or that will play a complementary role who build a specialization. Now, just simple business of gold loan. Now, gold loan were traditionally given by the banks for so many years. How come gold loan NBFC company emerged? There were pawnbrokers and there was a bank. Pawnbrokers were available 24/7 and banks were able to give credit at a very cheap rate, but within a fixed hours, morning 9 to 2. Now there was a gap, there was a need, and the gold loan companies have done wonderfully well. Similarly, like Shriram or other vehicle finance company, how it emerged? It emerged because there was a gap. And when there is a gap where we reach, then it will be filled by someone who built kind of a specialization and niche presence, knowledge, experience. So I feel there is the multi-layered structure cannot be ruled out. And
Wonderful.
we need to identify and we need to strengthen our liability side depending upon what you want to be. So I feel there is a scope for everyone to be there, and every individual entrepreneur should be able to get an access to one particular system of credit, whether it's NBFC or microfinance or the bank. And that's how the large country like India will keep progressing from time to time.
Perfect. I think that's a very well said, Umesh. Obviously the years of experience that you have is talking. Clearly, there is room for everyone. There is no need to compete. And in general, NBFCs play a complementary role to banks. Availability of funding is not a constraint. It is just that you need to keep evolving and keep looking for new ways of raising funds rather than just be dependent upon the banks to raise funds. Right? That's essentially what, in summary, what you mentioned. I can now see Mr. Nayan Patel is on the show as well. Welcome, Mr. Nayan Patel. Sorry, we missed the initial few moments. My question, one which I want to address to you, sir, is that what, as an MSME, what is the real pain point that you really foresee? Is it your your customers not paying you on time, extended cash flows? Is it margin pressure, competition from large industries, availability of people, low equity, or simply not understanding banks and NBFCs, not simply understanding you as a business model? What is it really bugging the MSME sector, and how would you like to overcome all of it?
Thank you, Mr. Srinivasan and Mahesh, for having me on this panel, and my apologies for joining in late. It was a connectivity problem, which I do not know how it got resolved, but it did. Anyway, I'm on a mobile phone right now, but I'll address this. All businesses have problems. Some have more, and MSME in particular have the most, especially in the manufacturing sector. Most of the MSMEs are in the manufacturing sector. Services do account, but they are not as much in MSMEs. They have now been included under the new definition. But historically, MSMEs meant family-owned, small, niche, boutique engineering companies or manufacturing companies. Now they have a problem of their own. While others have a straight line, manufacturing companies, MSMEs, have a multi-pronged problem area, a big canvas of problems. In the last pandemic, or this current pandemic, more than 60% of the MSMEs either shut down or restructured themselves, sold them, or downsized themselves. All these led to different kinds of problems in the manufacturing sector. The entrepreneur who was comfortable in his manufacturing arena has all of a sudden become a hands-on person. He's no more the technocrat. He spends more than 40% of his time managing finance. This has been his biggest problem. Those who survive this downstream are looking at some growth, looking at new opportunities, looking at widening, expanding their manufacturing base. Now, that is tough at this time. To do that, their biggest challenge and the biggest problem, as I think Mr. Raman mentioned, that technology and technological upgradation is required today. We are the old definition of MSME kept us very small, and now we are facing a challenge of a global competition, demand spurt, national thing. Otherwise, Mumbai fellows manufactured for Mumbai. There was octroi, there was interstate problems. Now all those having gone, he's thrown into an ocean of market, and that is he's finding it very difficult. I'm talking particularly the small, low, narrow vision MSME sector only. So what they require is technological upgradation and capacity building, for which the biggest requirement is finance and fund. Hitherto, in the still some time back, capacity building was done by importing good machines, modern machines, under the buyer's credit scheme, where LIBOR plus 0.5%, LIBOR was 1% we were paying. But thanks to Mr. Nirav Modi and his misuse of the LOU, government clamped down on that, and that instrument is no more available. Now, this is an area where NBFCs or others need to concentrate and see how we can influence the government or work out a framework where capacity building, modernization, technological improvement can be funded differently than maybe a working capital or something like that. This is one area that, so we have to now, after this, that the government stopped, we have to start borrowing from banks or NBFCs. For us, both are expensive. One is little more than the other, because globally, you see, you asked me whether we have competition. MSMEs are now under tremendous pressure. For every commodity, there is a global supplier, a cheaper supplier, a quality supplier, a bulk supplier. What does the MSME do? Over the years, you know, we also have those MRTP laws where we could not even expand beyond your capacity. If you are licensed to make 100,000, you can only make 100,000 units. He never grew. And all of a sudden, the global onslaught of quantity and quality and price competitive supply has really killed most of the Indian entrepreneurs. And our transaction cost, financing cost plays a big role in the costing of our product. So the management today spends more than 40% time only making two ends meet. Now this could be if this can be easily facilitated by NBFCs, it will be better. I'm sure somebody did mention earlier, Shashin or somebody, that you have a huge scope. I mean, everybody recognizes, NBFC recognizes, if 12% is the only share that NBFCs have in the funding of MSMEs, you have a long way to go. Now, when we say long way to go, one has to cut margins, you have to spread it out, and how you do that is something that for you to understand, or maybe if we can both work together, the MSMEs and NBFCs, we can collectively come to propose something to the government to relax on some laws or some systems whereby easy flow and cheaper finance is available to us. You see, the post lockdown, every commodity has gone up. Prices have shot up. Input costs have gone up. Exports have dwindled. It's almost zero to most of the MSME sectors because shipping costs are 500 times, 400 times. So what do? They have to start selling in the Indian market. And here the big boys have entered into almost every MSME sector. In the good old days, many commodities, many items were reserved for the small scale sector. Nobody else can make it. For example, toys were only small scale, shoes was only small scale. Now it's open for everybody. And the big boys, you know, the big boys, they are almost into everything. What are the small boys going to do? They have deep pockets. Then also came this new spurt of the startups who at the cost of investors or God knows whom are underselling products on Amazons and Flipkarts and the like. Underselling, I'm saying, with loss. We know that. What does the MSME do? So MSME does have that challenge. But of course, those who survived this pandemic they still have that vigor in them. They still have that enthusiasm. And I think they will find their ways. They are not the ones who get knocked down or bogged down by this problem or that problem. They'll find their ways. They have learned a lot from, we have learned a lot from this, to produce more from less, to consume less. And I think that is the way forward that will be going on. But yes, wonderful. We have a huge problem. And I think NBFCs need to understand the problem of the industry, sit with them, sector to sector, and see it holistically, or let's say like don't see the evidence on the paper, but see the circumstantial evidences of that individual company or the client, and then lend him money. This is what I would like to say there.
Wonderful, Mr. Patel. I think that really aptly sums up. I really take away the kind of positive statement that you made, that whatever happens, we've gone through really difficult times, but the MSME will survive and grow better after every such crisis. I mean, which is fantastic. Now, one of the things that you mentioned is that how do we as NBFCs really understand the MSMEs a lot more, and how can we really strike up a partnership? One of the things, Mr. Brahmanand Hegde, if I could turn to you and ask this question, that we always as lenders get worried about is the risk part of it, right? We keep getting worried about our risk management and stuff like that. And we are always worried about, whether a particular MSME will go default or not, and how do we kind of manage it? What sort of a risk management framework you think is appropriate for an NBFC to put across?
It's again a very critical and very important question. In fact, being an ex-banker, I have seen many times even some of the MSMEs, how they miss the managing the cash flow. They look at more profit instead of a cash flow, and in the process resulting in a sick unit over a period of some time. Okay, so I think being an NBFC, I think it's extremely important for us to look at this way. And many times when it comes to risk management, people just have a focus on credit risk. Okay. Well, definitely credit is one thing which will help you to manage your portfolio quality, but credit is not the only thing which will take you through the difficult period. Just to give you, I think, one of the very apparent example in the last few years, where we have seen in front of our eyes how great businesses gone down the drain just because they could not manage the risk properly. One of the very good example which we could see is in 2010, Andhra microfinance crisis. In fact, some of the largest microfinance institutions who are operating in Andhra Pradesh, it was visible for an outside-in perspective for a banker or anybody else. Anybody having a very high concentration of business in one state could get into some problems some point of time. But unfortunately, what happens is that when things are running well, people have very limited hearing to such risk issues. It is one of the reasons why we saw those names are not visible in the market today, most of them, other than a couple of exceptions who survived because of other reasons. Now, the point I'm trying to say is that as an NBFC, no doubt the credit risk is important. It is where you look at your credit losses and default rates, all those things. But more than that, if you have to think of medium to long term, it is a portfolio risk you have to manage. When I say portfolio risk, it could be in terms of your geographical exposures, where how much concentration of portfolio I need to have in one geography versus other. That is one part of it. Similarly, if you have a sectoral variations which you lend, which sectors should not have a high concentration of exposure? Because in MSMEs or any other business, for example, there is a cyclicality of the businesses. Some businesses do well in difficult period, some businesses go down in other period. Because in such a scenario, as organizations do have a portfolio mix which will help it to survive even in the most difficult period. Okay, so each company should decide what is in it for them. They need to manage in terms of portfolio risk. It could be geographical exposure, it could be sectoral exposure. This is one part of it. Second most important area for NBFCs is ALM. In fact, we have seen sometime before, many NBFCs who are in a, let's say, LAP kind of a lending, low interest property kind of lending, which they used to lend 10 to 15 years, to really resource their liability side through CPs. Basically, borrowing short term and lending long term, it is the first lesson in banking where never do that. But unfortunately, many people did it for the purpose of saving some cost, which backfired some of them. In fact, we don't need to take the names there. So that is again very important for an NBFCs to manage their ALM part such that we don't really get into the problem. Apart from these two critical areas, or the three areas which I mentioned, there are other things which you need to be cognizant of, whether it's the compliance side, whether it's the market side, which will be dynamic depending upon what kind of businesses you are in. I'm sure each one of us are wise enough to decide which one is the risk which you need to address. and taken appropriate steps. But it is important that if you are an NBFC, want to build a business for a medium to long term, risk management should precede your business growth, because it cannot be other way around. I think we should have that.
And that's a very, very appropriate point. And many people actually start off with the top line orientation, and then a couple of years later, they are ending up taking their wounds, in terms of wrong lendings done, etc., etc. I think one of the risk factors that you did not mention, which I would request Sarosh Samaria and Raman to actually come in and pitch in together, maybe first Sarosh and then later Raman, is the regulatory risk, because NBFCs per se are highly regulated. And therefore, we need to always be within the contours of what Reserve Bank lets us do and tells us not to do and all of that. Sarosh, how would you see this entire regulatory risk kind of panning out, especially in view of some of the recent changes in the regulatory framework? And a specific thing to Raman, what would you like to see in terms of the regulatory regime going forward?
Thank you, Mr. Srinivasan. So, the recent circular which came up on November 12th was indeed a difficult one for the entire NBFC sector, not just for the NBFC sector, but also for the customers of the NBFC sector. Basically, what was this? There were two-pronged points which was there, was that the NPA, which was marked and reported on real-time basis, which is on that DPD basis, once it hit 20 days, it was not at the end of the month. That was point number one. The entire industry was marking the NPA at the end of the month. And the other one was once an NPA, always an NPA. That means that non-performing asset, to become a standard asset, you had to collect the entire arrears of principal plus interest for it to be again a standard account. Now, that was the basic circular. RBI has highlighted this multiple times earlier, and it had informed in its various circulars earlier, especially the first point in 2018, etc. And as a responsible NBFC group, all of us will adhere to this. There is no, let me start with this, I don't think there is anybody, defining this that, we won't be able to comply with this. There has been various discussions with the regulator, but to state the fact is that compliance will be 100%. I think as a body of NBFCs, we will 100% be on dot on this. But there are two things which need to be looked into. What could be the short-term impact and what could be the long-term impact? The short-term impact is that the surge of NPA will be very high for certain sectors of companies, especially after the COVID issue, where there are customers who are into 30 to 60, 60 to 90 day bucket. So you will see a surge in NPAs, and because of that, there could be a possibility that smaller NBFCs or any NBFC where the NPAs go higher, there could be some holdback of credit. That is the immediate short-term impact which we see. But as everybody has been saying, this whole sector is extremely resilient. It will bounce back very, very fast. So everybody is working towards a very dynamic collection strategy. I think that is important, where we are all evaluating our cycle dates, our systems, etc. That on the day, say if the NPA happens on the 5th of December or 5th of March, you track it much before that and don't wait for the month end to correct the situation. So dynamic collections are happening. People are working much faster, and NBFCs are becoming more and more resilient. The bigger impact is that once it crosses 90 days, you have to collect 4 installments plus interest to make it standard. Now that is the big impact, as is in our terms, which we call normalization. Now that is something which is very difficult, and it will hit the NBFCs also, because the MSMEs also, because once he's declared an NPA, there will be credit which will not come to this sector. So to this company, so that is where the impact is. But and in case of MSMEs, they have very tight working capital cycles. Therefore, suddenly it may become imperative for them to clear their dues immediately. Otherwise they'll be tagged as NPAs. So that is the whole issue at this point of time. But in the long term, I would like to emphasize here, so there will be certain short-term disruptions, and I'm repeating again that what the regulator has put in, that we will the entire NBFC sector will follow. There is absolutely no two ways about it. But I feel in the long and short-term disruptions will happen. But in the long term, I think this circular will do more good. People will get into the habit of timely collections. We would errant customers would be weeded off from the system. And long-term cost savings would happen to the NBFC sector. And it will have a we have Ind AS as one of the provisioning norms. And what I feel is that this will have a positive impact on the ECL grids for the NBFCs, further improving the overall credit charge to the PL. So I think this will be, but I still feel that there could be some a request to the regulators that smaller companies or smaller smaller retailers or smaller MSMEs, maybe below 1 crore or 2 crores, they could be possibly excluded from this. And maybe some more time could be given, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, whatever the regulator feels would be the right to completely put into. So this is what I feel, Mr. Srinivasan, is my view on this.
Okay, fair enough. Now that's the current state. Now, obviously the budget is coming, and then we are hopefully we will have a slew of measures which will support the MSMEs as a sector in the budget and beyond. Raman, what is your wish list? Very quickly.
No, I think so. I'll be quick and short and on this, because see, my basic argument, and that's what fortunately I presented before the finance minister in the pre-budget meeting also, is that this whole thought process of regulation being tight, I think needs to be reviewed. Tightness of regulation versus making regulation more development friendly is what we need to look at. I think the sense which I get is that, and that is what happens anytime you see a stress in the system or there is a failure, we see a sudden more tightness brought in. So I am relating this to the whole idea of when people say we should regulate NBFCs at par with banks is an idea which I would never buy, because when you do that, you are killing the NBFC model. So in the name of bringing harmony with the banks, I think somewhere that flexibility gets killed. So the idea here is to not only make loans easily available to MSMEs, but also how to treat those loans in terms of prudential norms is very critical. You cannot have one parameter, same parameters for a 1,000 crore, 100 crore corporate loan versus a small 5-10 lakh loan given to a small time guy. You cannot treat them equally prudentially. There has to be a line drawn, because there is a flexibility, as speakers have said. It is the flexibility demand of the borrowers that, keeping in mind, that has to, and that is at the heart of the problem of the 12th November circular, and that is what we've tried to project and present before the finance minister. Hopefully, we think it may be heard. Basically, we need to keep that. And second foremost is the idea, of course, as I said, is that since we have a very large number of small NBFCs in the lending business, the availability of funds, the liquidity measures have to be such that should percolate down to the smaller NBFCs as well. What we saw in the recent past is that while there was ample liquidity being put in the system by RBI and government, but that got restricted to a handful of large NBFCs. So that percolation needs to improve, and treatment needs to be more flexible.
Perfect. I think that's very well put, Raman, and thank you so much for that. Now, at the end of this rather longish panel discussion, I have one question which I still need to ask, and this I would address to person no less than Mr. Suresh Kotak, with his decades of experience behind him. And also I would like Umesh to come in as well, that how do we therefore build in, look, what we have really talked about is there is a symbiotic relationship between NBFCs and MSMEs. The question is, how do we build this thing further to create a certain environment of trust so that we are able to see this symbiotic relationship, which looks great on paper, actually developing and becoming a force to reckon with. Mr. Suresh Kotak, your words of wisdom, please.
It was very, very interesting discussion. I was so happy to learn quite a lot of things. The needs of the MSME were very well portrayed and very happily, but also the NBFC's constraints and NBFC difficulties and their apprehensions have been also brought. So the forum together in cooperation with each other should help each other so that both progress conjointly. NBFC and the MSMEs can conjointly progress because the needs have been very well brought out. This seminar is very useful and the needs have been very well brought out. The needs of the MSMEs as well as their handicaps and where exactly they need. So the tailor making becomes easily acceptable, suave, and with a very great continuity. I feel this is to be a very excellent webinar where the questions have been very well structured, very well brought out, and the answers were also extremely very good. This is my impression. I am a learner because I am not a finance man, I am a commodity man, but though my family members are in finance, but the point, I myself is a commodity person. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the words which were really beautifully put. Umesh, you have a final word from the NBFC side on how to take this forward. I think Mr. Kotak said, a lot of things. How would you react to that?
Yeah, I echo whatever Mr. Kotak just now told. In fact, all of us are understanding each other. My only thing is both the businesses are heterogeneous. And most of the NBFCs, they have specialization, and even the MSME also are in the specialized platform. So a single platform would be too challenging or too difficult to build. But depending upon those businesses, and the focused NBFCs should definitely try to build some kind of a subcommittee or sub-platforms, so that the differences or the ideas or the overall business related challenges can be addressed. Because ultimately, NBFCs are quick-footed and nimble-footed. They should be able to do it much more to address the MSME's challenges rather than MSME coming to us. I think we have a role to play, and I believe all the NBFCs take this particular panel who are listened. They take this as what you call trigger to build a relation and a platform to discuss. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And it's been really enlightening for me to listen to so many luminaries and their words of wisdom. One request, which of course we've also spoken different level, is that maybe IMC could facilitate continual engagement between the MSMEs and the NBFCs so that we understand each other and take this to a much better level. Thank you all for the patient listening to this deliberations. If there are questions, maybe the IMC management could actually take a look at that, and how do we really address that?
Mr. Srinivasan,
yes,
on
sir.
a lighter note, I would like to just comment on what the NBFC has just recently spoken. I mean, more on a lighter note. I mean, you talked about the risk factor. I mean, I'm giving you the perception of the MSMEs right now. He says the risk is totally on MSMEs. What is the risk on the NBFCs? They take our collaterals, multiple times collateral, they enforce timely collection. They don't have delays. The new regulatory of November 12 will still enforce us to give that. But on the flip side, where is that 45 days commitment or a timely payment to the MSMEs or collection by MSMEs? They talked about timely collection, emphasis on timely collection. I think there has to be a force now, collective force on timely payments. The big boys, the government organizations don't pay in time. Where is the question of MSME collecting? They are always there at their doorsteps, but they can't collect, they can't pay your installments. So I think there are differences. NBFC talks about growth and we are talking about survival. So this needs to be bridged. And somebody said that November 12 will temporarily have a holdback on credit. It's like suffocating the MSMEs with no oxygen for the few days. I don't know what might happen.
Mr. Patel, thank you so much for that. Yes,
just to add to what Nanbai said, you see, basically the whole seminar and whole our thinking is based on one point, that MSME, the NBFCs concentrate on the flows and not on the balance sheets. The banks concentrate on the balance sheet, and that is why there are delays. Whereas NBFCs concentrate on the flows. So the risk element could be reduced or eliminated or can be monitored only with the flow, control of the flow of the money. Because the control of the flow of money, it is also to an extent in hand of NBFC. So they get the payments. So the flow control, which is also a strong point of NBFC and not the balance sheet finance, is where the whole seminar has been also brought up for this idea. Second thing, we have to synergize, and I believe that an organization like IMC and our FA forum will definitely want to create a kind of a synergizing atmosphere or a kind of a platform. With help of Nanbai, we would definitely try to work out that both synergize together.
Wonderful, sir. I think that point which Mr. Patel made is so important. And this is exactly what we as an NBFC association have also represented to the RBI as far as the November 12th guideline is concerned, that ultimately the MSMEs are only a pass-through. They cannot pay us unless they receive the money from their customers, right? So unless and until you regulate that part, you really cannot expect a one-sided adherence.
Exactly.
I think that is exactly the point that we have also made to the regulator, that they need to therefore take a holistic view and not a very partial view on this whole matter. So having said that, I bring this, in the interest of time, bring this discussion to a close. Maybe if there are a few questions, we could take it, and then I hand it back to the organization.
We can take, Selby, we can take 2 or 3 questions maximum. Selby.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I'll just take a few questions. Yeah, there are many questions, so I'll just take a few of them. This 12th November circular will not only increase GNPA or for NBFCs, but will also breach sanction covenants of banks from whom NBFC have borrowed. Hence, increasing COB for NBFC will impact credit.
Yes, this is something that we have already highlighted to the regulator as well, because it's ultimately it has have a cascading effect. I think that point is well taken.
Okay. As we see that
Kumar has raised the hands, he can talk.
Yes, Mr. Chandan Kumar has raised his hand.
Yeah, just a minute. Yeah, yes. Mr. Chandan Kumar, please ask your question. Hello, Mr. Chandan Kumar. Yeah, please answer. Unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah, yeah. As you see that many large Indian companies board have started discussing about the transition towards sustainability, ESG policies, net zero target, SDG. But MSME are not currently prioritizing such targets, since MSME have to tackle other challenges, technology issues, disparity skill, business capacity, financing, high regulatory burden, and limited local funding. So, according to any of you, can ask that, just suggested how MSME should adopt a holistic approach for this transition, and what are the factors should be tackled in handling this SDG and low carbon emissions and ESG policies.
Mr.
the subject.
So Nayan Patel or Mr. Sachin would like to talk about
This point, it's not pertaining to funding.
Yeah, I think it's probably we could take it offline.
For the time being, yeah. If TT Raghavan is there, if he wants to say something in addition to what we have spoken.
Pardon, sir?
TT Srinivasa Raghavan is there. If he wants to say something, he's our chairman emeritus.
No, sir.
Yeah, he's there.
Can you do?
It just says TTS on his.
TTS. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
TTS.
Okay. Yeah. Please, sir, can you unmute yourselves?
Yeah, he's
done it. Yeah.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Mahesh, sorry, I missed what you said.
I just, if you want to add something to what has been, how we can synergize with MSME and funding can be done better and faster as they want it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think first of all, I want to congratulate IMC for doing this interface between MSMEs and NBFCs, and I think the quality of the discussion has been uniformly excellent. Very riveted by the various points that were made by the speakers. I think all the points that need to be made have been made, but I would particularly pick up on something which Umesh said and Raman said, which is we have to recognize, and I think others mentioned this too, I think the one thing we must recognize is the heterogeneity of our country. India or Bharat or whatever you want to call it is multi-layered, right? I think we too conveniently put it into boxes of metro, urban, rural. It is not that. I mean, within even a city, there are multiple layers. And then when you go into semi-urban, rural, etc., the layers are so many. I think it's very risky and dangerous to follow a cookie cutter approach. As one of the speakers said, I think technology is a great enabler where it works, but there are many situations where technology is not necessarily the answer. So I think an appreciation of the granularity of our landscape, both the MSME landscape and the NBFC landscape, both are extremely varied, extremely diverse. You have massive NBFCs like, Tata Capital or Shriram or Mahindra and Mahindra Finance. But then you also have a tiny company operating out of Jalandhar or Vijayawada. They too are NBFCs. They too fulfill a need. They too address a gap. Therefore, I think more and more this understanding needs to build. I think there should be far more of such dialogues and interactions between MSMEs and NBFCs. I think regulation is an external issue, right? There's not too much we can do about regulation. There's not too much we can do about the external environment, but I think there is a lot that we can do as two major parts of the overall economy. MSMEs are, of course, a massive part of the economy, but NBFCs too are a very, very critical cog in the wheel. And my wish, my desire would be that, this could become an annual event in the IMC calendar, right? Like many of the other larger institutions have annual events. I think on the IMC calendar, I would sincerely urge, the IMC office bearers to make this an annual event, have more and more practitioners come and talk of their real world problems, because very often in these large seminars, it becomes all 100,000 feet. The emphasis is more on how glitzy the PowerPoint presentation is, or how glamorous a speaker is. I don't think that is what we are interested in. We are people from the real world who grapple with day-to-day problems, right? Umesh knows far more about the reality of what's happening with a truck operator in rural Karnataka or in rural Punjab than people who are sitting in these rarefied spaces. So I would very strongly advocate the creation of a platform like this, where there can be an ongoing dialogue between both these two, as I said, vital constituents of our economy, but also then an annual summit where we're able to take stock of the progress that we've made and also look at the agenda for the way forward. So I will stop here, and thank you, Mahesh, for asking me to share my views. Entirely my pleasure, and congrats to IMC for doing this event. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, TTS sir. We will take that message. We can have one small program and one big program conclave in the times to come. Anand Singhania is their incoming president. He will take a note. I think KVS, you can now invite Kamlesh straight away.
Yeah, Mr. Gandhi, if you could kindly favor us with your concluding remarks. Mr. Gandhi, please.
So, thank you, KV. At the outset, I have very little to add on this very vivid expression of the thoughts by the various speakers and the way you conducted it. So it was a very nicely conducted panel discussion, which threw light on so many important aspects. So I'd like to be brief in conclusion and context. I think we are all on the same page that MSME plays a very important role in the growth of the Indian economy. And for that, efficient availability of credit flow to the sector is of paramount importance. And to decode it for my MSME friends, what we mean by MSME efficient credit flow in very simple words is that you should get the right amount at the right time, at the right rates, and that too honorably. And in order to command that respect, I would urge my MSME friends to focus on sharpening their financial literacy so as to become one of the strongest asset on the liability, one of the strongest assets on the balance sheet of the lenders. Their liability should be one of the strongest asset on the lenders, as far as the lenders are concerned. And that will bring about not demanding credit, but commanding credit. So that will help us serve our mutual interest. In terms of NBFC playing an important role, they have been playing an important role, but yet they can do a lot more. As we all concluded that the percentage of credit what NBFC extends and the potentiality which they have to extend, there is a tremendous gap in that. And for that, we need enabling government policies, regulations, besides we ourselves increasing our capabilities in terms of capital raise, debt raise, and never forgetting our dictum of extending credit where it is due by creating successful entrepreneurs and not just the borrowers. These enablers created will help the NBFC to grow and in turn help the sector which they serve also to grow. And NBFC has this potentiality to match this or bridge this gap, and especially with the advent of fintech, this can be a little accelerated also. Friends, thriving MSME sector and financial inclusion are the two major things which is needed for India to unleash its growth potential. And as rightly remarked by one of the panelists, I think Raman, that we are made for each other. And this made for each other phenomenon always has an element of lot of expectation from each other, as we all know. And this continuousness, TTS and others also express their view that we should have such type of meetings very continuously in order to understand each other in a better manner. So as both MSME, the backbone of the Indian economy, thrives, and on basis of which we can unleash our growth potential, and NBFC, which plays a very important role in the financial inclusion, can also grow it to such an extent that it can meet the expectation what all of us have from them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kamlesh Bhai. Friends, we are coming to the fag end of the workshop. We are very much in time. As the broader message goes for the conclusion, the summit, that NBFCs can act as friend, philosopher, and guide for the MSME sector on the mutual terms. Not only the lenders, just be with them in every sphere so that we can grow together. The problems of NBFCs and MSMEs are almost same, with the size and the stature wise. We need to put it up to the government authorities so that the entire gamut of issues are taken care of. Partnership approach is what Suresh Kotak said, and IMC, meeting director and chairman of various other associations and places. I suggest we can have an MSME desk at IMC, which can take the issues online and offline with various members when the situations improve. We'll have one full-fledged conclave before June 2022, when the current president's term, before the current president's term expires. I think Suresh Kotak, Nayan Patel all will agree to that, and we will invite all the MSMEs for this purpose. Let me thank, first of all, IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the President in absentia, Mr. Khurakiwala, Vice President Anand Singhania, who has been present here and gave the words of wisdom to us. My own committee, NBFC committee, Ramesh Iyer and all other members, KV Srinivasan, co-chairman, and other members, Forum of Affiliated Associations, Suresh Kotak, Nayan Patel, and other members. Industry committee and the chairman, co-chairman who are present here, and other members who have joined in from that. IMC team done a wonderful job in just less than 15 days. Ajit, Sanjay, and Bharati particularly. IT team of IMC, Selby and other Kadam, etc. They always been doing wonderful job since the COVID times. Mr. KV Srinivasan, special thanks to him for chairing this session in a wonderful way. Nobody could have done more justice and balancing act than KV Srinivasan for this purpose. You all will agree to that. Kamlesh Gandhi for concluding remarks, and of course all the panelists who spoke their views very well. Umesh Rebankar, Raman Agarwal, Sachindra Nath, Sarash Amriya, Nayan Patel, Brahmanand Shah, and many others who participated in between to help us together. Let's understand that many of the other people like financial experts, bankers, and the press and media are also present apart from IMC and FIDC members. I thank all of them. Keep in touch, stay safe, of course, and wish you all the Happy New Year's. Remember that we all are tough people and we will last. Tough times do not last, but tough people do, and that we all are, okay? And wish you all the best. We will carry this message, and I'll request IMC to write to RBI on the 12th November circular, the summary of which we will be giving it by the end of the day. And we can carry it further and see that the problems of NBFCs and MSMEs are addressed together. Thank you all very much. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to the IMC and the team.
Thank you very much, Mahesh Bhai. I'm very, very happy for this.
As Dhirubhai Ambani used to say, 4 minutes no faydo karave. We are still 4 minutes ahead of time,
So that way, you are a very disciplined man, I know.
And we all, right, I think Nayan Bhai will also agree that this, how to carry it further, we will discuss it internally and take the support of the IMC. We have the research committee also, we can take the help and then carry it further to discuss all the issues pertaining to MSMEs. Thank you. Selby, you
Thank you.
Yeah, you can close the end the meeting now.